Hello my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. I was asked to talk a little bit about gums and health of gums. Well, what are gums? Gums is the area from which teeth are growing out. And it's covered with mucosal tissue. So you have a bone structure being in maxillomandibular, upper or lower jaw, which is made out of porous bone, which create a seat for a tooth. And then you have tooth growing from it, which has two parts, or actually we can say three parts, which one is the crown. Then the narrowing of a crown goes into what is called the neck of the tooth, and then goes down to the root of a tooth. Now, the tooth is made out of a bone, but bone is porous. So the part of the bone that is exposed, what we call the tooth that we can see, it's covered with a layer of a very, very dense material. We call it enamel. It's very hard. And then where the bone goes into the root, well, enamel stops there because it only goes maybe 1 millimeter, 1/8 of an inch into the mucosal tissue. And mucosal tissue then closes around making like a gasket. So things do not seep along the root into the jaw or into maxillomandibular, upper or lower jaw. And as long as the gasket is tight, there is no problem. Food will not seep, and the structure of a tooth is made in such a way that it's wider on the top, so crown is a little wider, and then it narrows before it hits the mucosal tissue. We call it the neck because it narrows a little bit. And then it spreads out again into root. Now, why is tooth made this way? When we are eating under pressure, we may squeeze things between the two teeth. And if we squeeze them a little bit more, then they come into this opening between the two teeth, right above the gum. So from here, it can be easily taken out, flushed. And you don't even have to brush the teeth. You drink water and you're actually flushing this. This is why when you brush the teeth, you don't have to push from up down, because the brush cannot go between the teeth. You can move just left and right and just pull the stuff that is sticking out from in between the teeth, in the neck area of the tooth. Now, the mucosal tissue, when it's healthy, the cells are well hydrated, the muscle tension is there because they do have flat muscles, so it's there, and they hold snug around the tooth, and decay or particles of the food cannot seep into the seat of your tooth. But if the mucosal tissue becomes inflamed, then the seal, well, it's still holding pretty tight, but the tissue becomes more brittle. Why is more brittle? It's not because of the pressure. It is brittle because of cellular dehydration, which actually is the trigger for inflammation. So when the cells are dehydrated over mucosal tissue, then same like in every other muscle or organ or connective tissue, it is going to weaken it. it loses electricity, lowers the electrical charge, which means lowers electromagnetic potential, lowers the tension. And if the gasket loses tension, it doesn't adhere well, and you have seepage. Another problem we are creating if we are improperly using a dental floss. Dental floss you use only to break in between the two teeth. As soon as it breaks through, pop, don't then push down and pull, because you don't want to damage the gasket. You don't want to create opening between the tooth and the mucosal tissue. But very often people do it, and this is where you can harm yourself more with the dental floss than you are helping yourself. Brushing teeth, well, again, you are massaging your gum, which could be okay, but when the gum is inflamed, you're going to be breaking through it, causing bleeding. And if you are bleeding, or if your gums are sensitive, well, they are inflamed. There is already pressure on nerves, sensory nerves, and then if you put something in, creating more pressure on it, turns this into pain. So basically the indicators of inflamed gums is going to be redness of the gums, sensitivity, and bleeding, especially during the brushing. Now they say, oh, you see, you have to use this brush or that brush because it's, creates less damage. Well, you will not damage healthy gum. You will damage only inflamed or toxic gum, because the tension is not there. But also, toxic gum is going to allow, it will not create firm gasket, so the decayed food or particles of food may be seeping deeper and deeper into the seat of your tooth, creating a toxic problem there. And this can cause also decaying of the bone outside in your jaw, leading to loose teeth. They say, oh, you see, bacteria are damaging you. No, it's the toxin. If bacteria go there, it is because there is a lot of food for them to eat, which are the toxins. What happens when our tissue decays? Well, we run into big trouble. We call it necrosis, because the enzymes from decaying tissue will cause damage and death of the surrounding tissue. This is why it has to be immediately taken out. This is why when you have injury, doctor says, oh, we have to clean it. We have to, they cut the damaged part out. So this way it does not decay there. Well, does this have to be done? In glucoholics, absolutely yes. In people in ketogenic state, no, you don't have to do it, because those people produce GCMF, which labels the stuff, and white blood cells take care of it. No decay happens in this way. Whatever goes for the rest of the body goes for the tooth and the gums. It's the same thing. Gums are covered with mucosal tissue, which is highly absorptive, but also produces a lot of toxic mucus when it is being used to cleanse the blood. If your blood is toxic, bingo. So people with toxic blood are more prone of having problems with their teeth. Not necessarily caries, because caries could be also caused from poison in your mouth. You drink your sodas like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has such a strong acid that it bores hole in the metal. As a sailor, I was using it to if I had a jammed mechanisms, jammed winches. Once you take it apart, put it in a Coca-Cola for a day, take it out, rinse it. It was like I sandblasted it. Okay, and now you put it in your mouth. What do you think your tooth will react like? But a lot of the time is simply the high level of sugar caused by incorrect diet. Eating so-called healthy starches. Again, it's not the fructose, it is glucose that causes all the problems. Directly or indirectly, but it is the main problem. Okay, you can read about this and listen to other videos explaining this stuff. But when we are talking about the gums, tooth and gums, it's all connected. When you have dehydrated gum, what happens? It shrinks. It's dehydrated. So when it shrinks, more of the enamel gets completely exposed, and you start exposing also the dentin, the bone of the tooth. We call it, oh, you have receding gums. Well, they are dry. They recede. They are dry. You hydrate them, they plump up again. That's all. But we are talking about cellular dehydration. And cells will not hydrate if the blood is toxic or there are toxic elements, like eating plants. So here we have a problem. They say, oh, oxalates, oxalates. Oxalate is one of the toxins. There are many, many, many others. Every plant has different toxins. Even what we call the vitamin B17 is highly toxic. Highly toxic. You chew on almonds, you're poisoning your gums and your intestines and your body. Any seed. Because this is one of the toxins that is protecting the seed. Only we are oblivious to symptoms and we continue eating, with fart to better heart. We are being ridiculous, and all because of indoctrination. Being it through religion. There are a lot of stupid stuff in the stories in religion. There's also a lot of truth, and this is how they get you. They show you a little bit of truth, and then smear it with all the lies that they can master and they can incorporate in this to look authentic and to look truthful. It's all lie. All the stories are lies. And same is with our soils. So how do we maintain healthy gum? Well, don't poison yourself. Don't eat plants. And if you eat plants, make sure that they don't stick in your mouth. They don't stay there. They are alkaline. When you have an alkaline medium and you put mineral in there, it is going to sediment, causing a plaque on your teeth. Now, milk is alkaline too, although it has acids, but overall it's alkaline. So if you drink milk, you may start getting plaque also on your teeth. You should rinse it with plasma, or before you go to sleep, have a salty lemonade. But again, you put a plant product in your body. Yeah, acid will help you from preventing plaque creation, sedimentation, but at the other end, it is going to affect your absorption. You will not absorb as well, and your cells in the body will start closing down if some of the absorbed stuff is from plant toxin. So, you are creating more harm than good. Rinsing with plasma before sleep, it's going to help you to get the alkalinity out. Again, whatever we are being told, it's wrong, so don't be surprised here. As I said, the reason why gums inflamed is because they are toxic on a cellular level, dehydrated, and they rinse themselves, they protect themselves by squirting liquid out. It's like what every mucosal cell is doing, and if it cannot do it, and if it's protein of another plant, if it's there, stuck, the cell wants it off. And if it cannot rinse it, it is going to be causing inflammation to force through pressure to absorb some liquid, so then it can use it to rinse off the toxic protein. If it is happening in the rest of the digestive system or in any other part of the body that has a mucosal tissue, like eyes, or could be sexual organs, and intestines, lungs, well, we call it asthma, or we call it allergic reaction, because asthma could be allergic reaction, but could also be just simply problem with dehydration. So it's the same with the gum. It's a mucosal tissue, and if it is dry and it cannot keep rinsing, it is going to cause inflammation, which is basically allergic reaction. And then when you brush it, you can bleed easier. Sometimes you can just bleed through the mouth even without it, because the pressure is so high, and it's pushing, as it's pushing inward, it's pushing outward, and some blood leaks through. Remedy to this is not antibiotic, is not suppressing or antihistaminic. Suppressing this process is to cleaning, because this is done to be cleaned. So clean your teeth, clean your gums, but sometimes you can't because the seal doesn't work well. When you have dehydrated cells, they lose tension, so the seal is not correct, and food starts seeping into the seat of the tooth, decaying the bone, the structure of your jaw, and making your teeth loose. And bacteria may form to deal with this problem, and then we blame the bacteria. No, it's not the bacteria, it's the toxic flow, toxic element that creates necessity for the bacteria, especially if you are not producing GC milk because you are glucoholic. So toxin is not marked, and your white blood cells have no clue what to do. A variety of problems are emerging here. When you start understanding how the body works, then you easily point to the problem. And how do you protect this? How do you maintain your gum healthy? Well, eat correctly, number one. Don't poison yourself, which means no veggies. And hydrate properly, which requires salt, because we are dehydrated and we are toxic. So body, as soon as you start hydrating, body finds opportunity for detox. And it's going to start cleansing, which will require more plasma, more water, but water by itself doesn't work. It has to be in electroconductive state, so it has to be ionized. And you do it by adding salt to it. More salt, the more surplus of minerals you create, which stimulate more cleansing. So by eating correctly, you are going to avoid the problems. But if you already have the problems, then you can use colloidal silver. Colloidal silver increases electroconductivity. So the benefits of inflammation are achieved faster and inflammation goes down quicker. It is differently how it works than antihistaminics, because antihistaminics basically poison the body, and the extra poisoning will give a signal, well, do not allow this poison enter in the cell, so the inflammation is being stopped. Antibiotics are a perfect example of this. They are so toxic that inflammation goes down. But also body's chemical compounds, like stress hormones, steroids, body produces them to achieve exactly this, to poison, forcing the inflammation to stop, so the pain is cut, so the pain does not interfere when your body has to save its life because it's being attacked by some beast. Part of the stress response. But this also triggers release of glucose from glycogen, gives us more energy, and this is creating the confusion in the students when they are being told, you see, body uses glucose for energy. Yeah, but only it is programmed to do so in a stressful situation. And since it is not programmed to produce energy from blood, there is always sugar from sugar. As soon as there's always sugar, glucose in the blood, but cells do not absorb it. So how come that they don't use it to create energy? Only if it goes in a surplus. Because when the level of glucose increases over the designated level, which are called the radar level, because it's being monitored, the insulin is triggered to be pushed into the blood to force cells to absorb it, because it's a part of the reaction to the stress. But we are being misguided through science, and doctors basically have no clue. We were told more truth years ago when I was a student, or even doctors before me. But pharmaceutical got stronger and stronger hold onto the science of medicine, turning into science of medicine, and this sin is destroying our health. Contrary to what we are being told, that doctors are helping us, healing us. No, they are curing us. Curing, preserving what is there. Well, if what is there is wrong, well, now no healing is achieved. Just playing with the symptoms, causing more harm. Okay, so definitely do not use dental paste for cleaning your teeth, which have a fluoride in them, because fluoride is a compound that really destroys teeth, bones in general. Again, contrary to the truth. Everything we are told is contrary to the truth. So, when you eat correctly and you hydrate correctly, you maintain the cells hydrated, then they have a strong electromagnetic field, they create strong tension, they create tight gasket around the tooth, so the stuff, what you have in your mouth, does not penetrate into the seat of your tooth. As soon as you start damaging the gasket, either physically through dental floss pushing down and pulling, you are delaminating the mucosal tissue is not bonded to the teeth. It just creates tight connection, preventing stuff seeping in. That's why I call it gasket. When that's broken, through cellular dehydration, all kinds of stuff starts happening with more caries, because the food goes, the decay goes deeper, and when it goes to the root, it easily bores through the hole and goes into the nerve. And then we are being told, oh, okay, you have two options, because you have a now hole done all the way through the pulp, through the space where you have nerves and blood vessels in a tooth, which is extremely sensitive, painful. So we can either give you root canal or we can extract the tooth. And before, root canal was sensible thing to do, but now they tell you, yeah, but you know, if we give you root canal, it's even worse, because now you have this space there, bacteria can grow, accumulate, and create more problems and decay and destroy your not only the tooth all the way, but also destroy the seed, destroy the jaw, being it upper or lower, doesn't matter. Well, this is a lie, because every time when they do root canal, they file the canal to make it evenly, even size, and then they put pin, and they cement pin in it. So they fill the space, so nothing can grow in that space, and becomes anchor. But they tell you, no, you have a problem with this. Hell, many people have a problem, but not because of root canal. They have a problem because they are toxic. They have a toxic mucosal tissue, toxic gums. And in one tooth can have a looser connection, looser gasket than other tooth, and may accumulate more. And then they say, you see, but well, this is usually a tooth that was already worked with the dentist, additionally poisoned, because given sedatives, and to destroy the nerve, they cannot just grab it and pull it, because you would jump to the roof from a pain. They numb it, they kill it slowly, usually by putting chlorine directly on it. And then when it's dead, then they pull it out. Then they file it and plug it. So it creates perfect anchor. As long as you continue using the tooth, you destroy the tooth that is in a tooth, but not the tooth that is in a jaw. So jaw is, or upper or lower, is being constantly maintained. And the strength of the bone structure depends on a pressure. If you're avoiding putting pressure on that tooth, because it used to be painful and now it's still maybe a little sensitive because inflamed gum, you avoid putting pressure. What body doesn't need, it is going to not support. So by not supporting the dense bone structure of a jaw, the tooth starts getting loose. Well, you can again achieve the strengthening of the structure and preventing this loose tooth by putting pressure on it. Start using it, start chewing on it. And the signaling of the pressure will give a signal to the bone, okay, I have to be stronger here, I have to be like this, I have to be like this, and it is going to form tight seat. This tooth I mentioned in several videos. When I was 9 years old, I had root canal on it because I cracked it with bottle hitting my tooth. And it was just rebuilt. Root canal and then rebuilt. No crown. I was too young for crown. But it lasted until I was 55. And I was chewing, I was biting the fishing line with it, to snap it. And it was holding until one day it delaminated. And then I had rebuilt again. I didn't have crown put, just rebuilt. And it's still working. And when X-ray was taken, doctor could not believe that this tooth does not have a nerve in it, because the seat was so tight. The tooth is tight. Works like the tooth next to it, which has its nerves in it. There is no movement, there is nothing, it's nice solid, because I use it. If I stop using it, I start creating problems. So people that are afraid and they start chewing only soft stuff and they only eat soft stuff, well, the seat of the teeth is going to be weak and the teeth will be moving. We have to use them. What you don't use, you lose. Simple as that. So if you have a problem with teeth that are moving and your gums are being blamed, well, number one, you have to see if your gums are inflamed or not. Most likely they are, because we all eat incorrectly, we eat toxic food. Toxic food closes down the cell, tightens the membranes to avoid absorbing toxic elements, and in this way it doesn't hydrate correctly. And if this is prolonged process, if you put poison in your mouth too often, and when we eat and feed ourselves with plants, we constantly put toxic stuff. Nuts are good, we should eat nuts. Well, nuts have many toxins. One of the strongest one is what we call vitamin B17. Highly toxic. It forces cells to compress. So if you have a cancer and you put it in your body, the cancer compresses. It looks smaller. And if you stop creating the thoughts that caused it, you actually heal from it. So not everybody is going to heal themselves when they eat almond seeds, for example. But if you dealt with your problem that caused the interruption of electric flow, and but cancer is still there, by eating B17 from seeds, it's not only almond, majority seeds have it. Grapes, watermelon seed, almost all seeds have it. So they are not food. We like them, but they are not food. And some toxins are not strong, they are weak. But more of them you have, the more electric resistance they cause, which slows down the movement of energy, electricity, and we feel tired. We have a foggy brain, we have blurry vision, because simply energy doesn't flow well. So how do we maintain healthy gums? Eat correctly. If you already have problems, use colloidal silver. Every night what I do, because I have tons, I have probably 8 root canals. But I have all my teeth. And I have no problems, because I use them. And I try to maintain my body clean. I try not to at least eat toxic stuff. But since I'm experimenting, I often do that, and this is why my teeth don't heal, because you have to be really, bones are poorly vascularized, So healing is very slow. And whenever I'm experimenting, I'm poisoning myself, so I cannot achieve healing. But at least I prevent further decay and no need for dentist anymore. But when I stopped eating chocolate, my body went into detox and problem with teeth. My gums started bleeding again, and I had one caries, got really bad, needed another root canal, and it was a lower molar, so there were actually 3 root canals done because it was in a pulp. So you have to clean all 3 channels, plug them up. No problem, the tooth is working, no pain anymore. Every night I take colloidal silver, I hold it in my mouth 10 minutes or longer, then I swallow it. It prevents bacteria. In a case there is some food stuck, it doesn't continue decomposing from bacteria, so it doesn't create toxic enzymes, which are causing the problem. When you have inflamed gums, the stuff seeps into the gasket doesn't work well around the teeth, and it seeps toxic stuff into your gum, by the root, into the seat, and it affects the bone as well as the tooth. Causes further decay. Has to be dealt with. Eating correctly is the key. So, if you don't know how to eat correctly, Salvia's protocol. Basically eat raw animal products, or as raw as you can master. But definitely keep away from plants and from processed foods, because they have additionally put chemicals in to create more havoc. So, processed food is your worst enemy, including processed meats. They are terrible. The old-fashioned, dehydrated meat, smoked and dried, that's perfect, no problem there. It's the modern preparation, which is all based on chemistry, toxic chemistry, intentional poisoning. Okay, my friends, if you take care of your gums, you are immediately taking care of your teeth, and you'll be fine. So, do not use fluoride. It creates worse problems on the bone than anything else. And try to refrain from drinking stuff that has toxic acids. Coffee has toxic acids. Even chocolate has toxic acids. We are being told, no, it's a sugar in chocolate, eat dark chocolate. No, the dark chocolate is more toxic than the milk chocolate. Again, we easily accept the lies, but the truth becomes difficult to absorb because we don't know of truth. Everything we are told is lie. Even the silver colloid production, the transparent colloidal silver that has extremely small particles, is being called the ultimate, the best. And the good one, the nanoparticle that has more sediment, is being called, no, that's a bad, that's a mud. No, that's a good colloid because it is not as we think it is. Electrolysis doesn't take down particles. It acts individually on frequencies, which keeps them flowing, and you need more of these frequencies to be able to restructure again and create a particle of silver, because it's all based on frequency. And when the complete structure is done, it's usually in nanoparticle size, which turns the liquid yellowish because of the refraction of light through nanoparticles. So the yellow frequency becomes prominent. Well, that's how it works. It's completely contrary to everything we have been told. And we have to start going quantum to start understanding our physicality. Okay, also if you have problem and painful gums, faster you will achieve relief if you are hyperoxygenated. So taking a 3% hydrogen peroxide solution and put it in your mouth and let it oxygenate, bubble, and after 3 to 5 minutes you spit it out. Don't rinse it, just spit it out and keep it still there to keep oxygenating and destroying the toxic material, converting it, reprogramming it, change its frequency, and also causing elimination through bubbling and pushing stuff out. And you achieve faster healing. So you can do that, but before sleep, put some colloidal silver, nanoparticle colloidal silver, and hold it in your mouth in general, so the whole gum is being exposed to higher electroconductivity, and this is going to destroy bacteria. So if you have any remnants of food, it is not going to continue decaying and poisoning you. And in the morning, you just go and drink your plasma, flush yourself, and eat correctly, and everything will be fine. And again, if it's choice between pulling the tooth out and replacing it either through bridge, which you are damaging to teeth underneath, and you're creating a socket that is not well connected, so it's always food going to be underneath, and it's a lot of problem with bridges. Then putting anchor, boring it into your bone, well, remember that where you have a bone and tooth connection, there is a nerve. You destroy the nerve in a tooth, but you don't destroy the nerve in a bone. So pressurizing, putting pressure on, the nerve receives the impulses and it works on strengthening the bone structure. It's all about you putting pressure on it. When you put your anchor, there is no nerve there. And just pressuring it is not going to have the same result. It is always, you are looking for problems. Don't trust your dentists. They work for money. They want you to have as many problems as possible, so they make more money. Have your root canal done, and then maintain healthy gums. And the tooth, this tooth is dead all my life, and still is working correctly, and no problems whatsoever. And I have many other root canals, no problems whatsoever. Yeah, I get problem if food gets stuck, and I didn't clean it, and I didn't take colloidal silver, bingo! It inflames, gums get inflamed, sensitive, I brush, it starts bleeding, problem. Use colloidal silver, and eat correctly, and hydrate. Okay, my friends, thank you for listening. Many of you are telling me my latest videos are better than the ones before. Well, it is not the case. The case is that more truth you are exposed to, your synaptically start connecting, and you start understanding better. So you receive more messages from the same lecture. Now if you go and re-listen to some of the old videos, you will start seeing that you get more information from them than you did before. Of course, now I'm always incorporating a little bit of quantum, which I didn't do in the past. And the quantum part of it is what is the easiest to understand, because it does not have too many dead corners. It is straightforward. It's pure physics. Easy to understand. Okay, God bless us all, and keep learning and keep helping people around you, because those that are not awake, they don't get it. So you have to find a way to stimulate them. Again, they may not be receptive at all, so don't bother. But when they start awakening, they start asking questions, and this is where we can help. God bless us all, and love you. See you next time. Namaste. Something happened during recording, and first recording was not recorded. And I don't know if I have mentioned in this recording what happens when the cellular dehydration occurs in the gums. It doesn't occur only on mucosal tissue, but also in a general bone and tissues. So when dehydrated tissue, more dehydrated it is, the more it shrinks. So when the mucosal tissue shrinks, the lower part of the tooth, below the dentine, below the enamel, the dentine starts showing, the bones start showing up. We call this that we have receding gums. Well, they are receding because of dehydration. So when you hydrate, you are going to again rebuild it. Same like dehydrated cartilage rebuilds with hydration, but on a cellular level, not just by drinking water. You have to be careful of the toxic element in your blood. You can rebuild again your gums and stop and rebuild actually the receded tissue by hydration, cellular hydration. Again, you can look at articles on my site. Every end of the video has the link to my site. And there you can just put receding gums, for example, and it is going to show you articles where I mention it, and read them. And you can rebuild it. Protocol empowers your body to rebuild itself. And it can rebuild itself completely. But we have to be then very strict with protocol and understand it. And this is why sometimes it is good to be guided through the process, especially if you are targeting a particular thing. Okay, see you next time. Love you all. Namaste.